every single job I've ever had, starting with the first job, but this is part 2. So at this point I left off, I was working at Universal Music Group, Heatwave Interactive. So I was in the new media department at the Universal Music Group, but I was working under Republic Records. So I was working with their entire roster, basically doing Facebook and marketing, and digital marketing was very different back then, but I was working with amazing groups like Owl City, ZZ Top, Kid Cudi, all of Lil Wayne's roster at this point. Learning a lot about like grassroots marketing, how to market different genres of music, how to market different types of artists. Some artists do good on campus, doing campus promotions, some do good on radio, some you have to go and hit the streets and give out, so it was a lot of different elements of marketing, but I was kind of learning all of this as new media was developing, as social media was getting its second wind when it came to Instagram and rebranding Facebook and the new owners of different things. So that was a really amazing job. But at this point, finished undergrad, I'm now working basically my dream job at Universal Music Group. I'm flying back and forth to Austin to work with this other company called Heatwave Interactive. Having the time of my life, but I started getting the bug. I started feeling like, all right, I want to work with African music. I've learned everything I could possibly learn from the music industry. I want to apply that to Africa. So at this point, I was looking for how to get involved. This is when I started talking about Afrobeats music. I created my brand called Complete Afrobeat, where I just posted and vlogged about African songs that were coming out, African artists, the state of Afrobeats. Mind you, this is the time when like Wizkid and David, D'banj and P Square and Tamaya, and there was an Afrobeats presence, but it's nothing like it is now. But still, I was involved in that level of being like, listen, I used to go to like different offices like BET and Spotify and talk about Afrobeats because I had friends. We were all like interning and then getting jobs in the industry. So all of my friends were working at BET, working at Spotify, working at Twitter, working at Facebook, me working at Universal Music Group. So we all used to put our heads together and be like, hey, how can we get this sound into the radio, integrated in what we're doing at our respective jobs? So yeah, shout out to like my homeboy Maxwell, who's one of my best friends. He was working at BET at the time. Just so many people that I was working with then, just trying to make Afrobeat a bigger wave for our friends and family. I now transitioned to working with this lady doing home health aid. Like I've worn so many hats, it's not even funny. So then after Universal Music Group, I started doing part-time at Heatwave Interactive, and I started working with this old lady. I'm not going to say her name because her grandchildren are on social media. She's no longer with us, but became a home health aide. And I worked for this lady for 5 years, literally 6 days a week. I was living in her house at the time, and she was filthy rich. Like this was a point where people were like, what do you do? Where do you live? Because I lived in a house. It was the last house to the beach. They had like an Olympic sized pool in the backyard, huge house, grand piano, marble floors. And this job made me really lazy because they provided everything for me: phones, cameras, wardrobe, groceries, whatever I needed to stay at home and be comfortable. And this is when I started doing my like influencer content creator journey. They provided that for me. I was living there rent free because I was working as a home health aide. So I was just making money and sitting in the house, living my dreams. I could invite my friends over, had my dog. She let me move my dog in. So I stayed at that job for 5 years. And that's when I was like, listen, I need to get it together and find out what I really want to do, because if not, I'll fuck around and be here for 10 years and then have nothing to show for myself. And I really wanted to do African music. I really wanted to work with African artists. And mind you, in between this, I worked real estate. I worked at one of my ex-friends' hair salons at the time. So when I say I've worn many hats, I've worn many hats. Come back for part 3.